There we go, cool. Okay, so skin tone. The materials that you're going to need for skin tone are a folded paper towel. You do not want to use a tissue, a facial tissue. Reason being, these can have conditioners and lotions in them to make them softer, and that's going to put oil on your paper. So you do not want to use a tissue. Regular, rough paper towel is the best way to go. You're going to want a scrap piece of paper to create a pool off of. You're going to be using your ebony pencil, which I didn't grab. Anybody got an ebony handy? There's one. Cool. Your ebony pencil, and you can create powdered graphite by sharpening your pencil. When you sharpen it, just keep the wood separate from the little grits, the little gritty pieces coming out of there. And you just do that in a little dish, or you can do that straight onto your scrap piece of paper, and that just gives you some graphite to work from, which is nice. But you can also create a pool like that on your scrap piece of paper. I'm going to show you both methods. So when I'm doing the skin tone, I usually try and find an area of shadow along like the edge of the jawline or the neck or the shoulder or someplace to start from. So looking at this picture, the light is pretty ambient. You've got light on both sides, but there's definitely a stronger light source on the right because we have darker shadows on the left side of the nose and the eye. So I'm going to be starting with the shadow over here behind the ear. So I'm going to use the pencil like a pencil, and I'm going to put in this dark shadow here so I have something to start with. And then I'm going to start putting in the lighter skin tone. I'm going to first show you how to do it with the pool. So I just put my finger behind the corner of the paper towel, rub it in the pool, and then rub it off here because that's going to show me how dark that's going to be. So I did it 3 times to get it to be a little bit lighter because it's not extremely dark there. And now I'm going to go in a circular motion to start putting in some of that value. It's going to look really dark now because that's the only value I have down so far. This is going to look lighter based on the darker shadows that I put around it. So I run out pretty quickly. Go over here, dust some of it off. And you'll notice as you go over these lines, they'll start to disappear. That's okay, as long as you can still see it. Pull it in towards there. So that gives me a nice light tone, but already it's starting to look round because I have light to dark. Then you're gonna go in and start putting in some of these shadows around here, and that's going to make it look darker. You'll want to use your blending stump to put shadows in, and you wanna make sure that it's clean. There's 2 methods for cleaning it. The first is to sharpen it using an X-Acto knife, and of course I grabbed a dull one. We'll get Miss Ciccone to help you with this. Don't use your mom's kitchen knives at home for this. She'll kill you because it'll dull her knives really, really quickly. You'll also want to use the sandpaper to clean it. And don't be gentle when you're cleaning these. You want to really clean it off. It works best when it's clean. You're going to clean it and then dirty it again. Sorry. You're going to get it all over your neighbor. It's good. And then you pull off the tip so that you have a nice little tip like that. It's nice and soft. So we're cleaning it, and then we're doing the same thing. We roll it and then we test it over there. So I'm looking at the shadows here in the ear. So I use this to draw that in. And then I go back and I pick up more, and I start back with the pencil. And now when I'm shading with the pencil, I'm holding it extremely lightly. I'm not doing a lot of pressure. I'm almost lifting up, and I'm gradually building up these layers in these tiny tornadoes, these little circular motions. So you see how that started very dark. Now I went to like a 9, an 8, a 7. There's a light area here, so I'm going to skip up, add in a little bit of a shadow here. Then I'm going to switch back to my blending stump and help move and push these shadows around. And you just keep going darker, but go gradually darker. Start pushing and pulling these back in. But you see, this is starting to look lighter because this is looking darker. So you need to look at how the shadows, like what relationship they have to one another. Is this part of the ear darker than the face? Yes. This part of the ear is darker than the face. So even though we put this shadow in first and it looked dark, because we've put this nice dark shadow in here, you see how it's starting to look more light. So you're gonna be looking at the relationship of the shadows. If your brain will not switch the left side off and you can not stop seeing this as an ear or an eye or a nose or a mouth, do the trick where you flip it upside down, or you can even take a piece of paper or cardboard, cut a hole in it so that you only see that small little section. Because what's happening is the left side of your brain is going, this is an eye, this is what I think an eye is supposed to look like, instead of really seeing what you're seeing on the page. So this is where it's very important to see the relationships between those values. So think of it as your value scale. Look at it on here and say, is that a 9, a 10, an 8, you know, whatever it is, and then try and mimic that on the paper. So you've got 2 different tools for getting your skin tone on there. For large areas, use the folded paper towel. For small areas, use the blending stump. You create pools with the pencil on a scrap piece of paper. You can also create some shavings to use the powdered. There was something else that I was going to mention too. Oh yes, when you go to erase out your grid, make sure you use the white eraser and erase out the whole area. If you take your eraser and just erase out the lines, when you go to do this, you're going to have a ghost white line show up. So make sure you erase the whole section of the face. I think that covers it. All right, cool. There you have it. There's how to do skin tone.